Flavor Relations. How may I help you?
I was wondering, I had a couple questions about some ingredients in your ingredients list.
Okay.
I was wondering what's in your natural flavors.
The natural flavors are flavors that are derived from essences of plants.
Is that it? Can I have the complete list, please?
That's actually considered proprietary information.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks. I'm never going to drink your product again because I know you're hiding something.
Not at all.
Taste the feeling, share the feeling.
It's crispity, it's crunchity, it's peanut buttery. It's a one-of-a-kind experience. Butterfinger. There's nothing like it.
What do you think of when I say natural flavor or artificial flavor?
I mainly think negative thoughts. They don't have a good connotation to me. They're probably in a lot of the things that I eat, but mainly negative.
What do you think a natural or artificial flavor comes from?
I think it comes from chemicals and scientists, definitely not naturally grown or from a garden that we like to think our food is from, but like from like a machine or like processed would be my guess.
What products do you think natural or artificial flavors are in?
I think that natural flavors are in some juices maybe, and like just the fruit or the food itself. And then artificial flavors would be in soda and like candy.
Do you think you eat products with natural or artificial flavors in them?
I probably do, since I do eat like processed foods. They probably have flavors in them.
Do you think natural and artificial flavors are safe to eat and put in foods?
I feel like they're originally not, but I'm assuming that like after all these years that we've all eaten these like bad foods for our bodies, we've kind of gotten used to it, like our insides. So maybe it's definitely not safe, but maybe we're used to it. So it's safer now than it would be in the past.
The flavor industry emerged in the mid-19th century. Around the same time, processed foods started to be, quote, manufactured on a large scale, end quote. The early food processors recognized this need for more food flavors and turned to perfume companies that had long experience working with essential oils and volatile aromas. Those who first produced many of the first flavor compounds were England, France, and the Netherlands. But as the 20th century came around, Germany took the lead in flavor production. After World War II, much of the perfume industry shifted from Europe to the United States. Many of them put their factories in New York City. With the perfume industry also came the flavor industry, which settled in New Jersey. Before the 1950s, man-made flavor additives were used mostly in baked goods, candies, and sodas. However, with new machines that were able to detect volatile gases at, quote, low levels, end quote, the number of flavors increased because now new ones could be made through being synthesized in labs. Every year in the United States, about, quote, 10,000 new processed food products are introduced, end quote. About 90% of the money that Americans now spend on food goes to buy these types of foods. And every single year, the flavor industry in America alone has an annual revenue of about $1.4 billion. As a chemist, what does your line of work consist of?
Well, these days, I'm a teacher here at Walsingham teaching chemistry and physical science. But in my past, I did environmental chemistry research, looking at how contaminants bind to sediments, sometimes natural, as in Elizabeth River nearby, and also some model systems in the lab.
What are natural and artificial flavors in your own opinion?
A lot of people think there's a big difference between these two, but actually it's just what they're made from. Both of them are made in the lab, one from materials that you could call natural, but ultimately they're chemicals made in the lab.
What comes to mind when you see them listed or advertised on a food item?
In my own opinion, I always kind of wonder why you have to have them in there. Why isn't there a way to make something taste fine without having to put the chemicals in? And they are either synthetic chemicals or even sometimes just a lot of just salt, if you're looking at salt and savory things.
Do you think they are safe to eat?
It's relative. I choose to, although I know that there are some probably adverse health benefits or detriments to them. But I think part of it comes from the way they're processed and the things we don't know about them. The chemicals themselves may not be an issue, particularly if they're similar to what's natural in a fruit or vegetable or meat or bread. But how they're made, there's other things introduced that we don't know, and that might even be a bigger problem than the chemicals themselves.
In your professional opinion, do you think they are safer than actual foods and flavors produced from the earth?
Safer? Probably not. Are they more efficient and can give you different flavors? Yes. So again, I think it's up to someone to decide if they want that. However, I think maybe the driving force for using them is not necessarily to enrich our lives, but to actually to enrich the pockets of the people selling them.
Many food and flavor companies will not give out the list of the ingredients put into the natural and artificial flavors. Do you think that is right or no, and why?
I think all ingredients put into the food that is sold should be known, including those ingredients. You might have a reaction to one. They could, you don't know, have reactions or interactions with medicines you're taking, and it's on our right to know what we're actually putting into our bodies and make an informed decision.
Why do you think there's been this need to create more and more flavors?
I think it's more about marketing than about actually enhancing the flavor. You can say, hey, it's new and improved by changing something. Or they find that people's interests have changed. There's fads in food, and they're trying to follow that market and get it.
In your opinion, do you think people should be made more aware of these ingredients in foods?
I think so. I think a lot of people read labels and see natural, yay, and think that they're doing the right thing. So yes, I think it's a little bit of fooling people, and so we need to make people aware.
How much do you know about natural and artificial flavors?
I don't know much about the specifics of them. Like I said earlier, both of them are chemicals made in the lab, just one from a natural ingredients and the other from synthetics. One thing which is odd, though, you might think, is that synthetics are actually purer. Naturals, to get these flavors, they have to do weird combinations, and sometimes there's you want to call a lot of things along for the ride in order to get the one flavor you want. So in some ways, the synthetic is a cleaner, more regulated, but both of them are synthetic. They're just names come from what they're made from, not how they're made.
Now that you know where natural and artificial flavors come from, will you eat the foods with them in them ever again?
I definitely will. If I got to 17 eating these foods, I think I'll make it a couple more years.
Were you surprised by where some of the flavors came from?
Yes, I originally thought that most of the foods came from chemicals. I wouldn't expect it to come from animals like beetles.
What is your overall reaction after seeing and learning about these flavors?
I'm kind of shocked, and I don't want to eat those foods ever again. And I'm kind of thinking about my lunch and what I ate for lunch and what's in those foods. So.
What do you think you can do to raise awareness about these flavors?
Probably just like bring it up, make sure other people know what natural and artificial flavors are, and that they aren't just like, they're not horrible for you, but they're also not like actually natural.
The FDA defines natural flavors, quote, to include any flavor isolated from natural sources like plant materials or animal products, and artificial flavors as any flavor not defined as natural, end quote. Anthranilic acid in its powder form, plus methanol, which is both flammable and deadly, plus H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid, and here it's going to be a red and orange liquid, plus DCM, which is dichloromethane, plus our table salt, which is NaCl, which is here a solution, so it's going to be a clear liquid, plus NaCO3, which is sodium carbonate, which is a white powder, is all going to give us methyl anthranilate, which is our grape flavoring. A cochineal beetle produces carmine. Once it is dead, people take it and grind it into a powder. In the up-close version, you see the dead bug or beetle and how it produces a red powder. Then, in order to make it into a liquid form, they add H2O, or water. Then altogether, this produces carmine, which is used and seen in strawberry yogurts and other red products. Acetic anhydride plus sulfuric acid, which is a red-orange liquid, plus an alcohol of your choice, in this case pentyl was used, plus NaHCO3, sodium bicarbonate, plus NaCl, table salt, is all going to give us acetate esters. As I see it, you have three choices to choose from. The first is that you can continue eating foods with natural and artificial flavors in them, like these shown on the table. Or you can choose to not buy or eat foods with natural and artificial flavors in them, like some of these. Along with choosing not to eat foods with natural and artificial flavors in them, you must become diligent in reading the labels and learning about all the additives that are going into your foods, such as natural and artificial flavors.